wondered what rich people consider a life-threatening emergency? I quit my luxury security job after one night that made me realize some people are too rich to function. I needed that paycheck more than I'd ever needed anything, because my dad's cancer treatments were bleeding me dry and I was already 3 months behind on rent. So when the wife of a petroleum executive that I'll refer to as Mrs. Richardson called me at 4 in the morning last August, screaming about being under attack and demanding immediate armed response, I grabbed my gear without hesitation. 2 team members and I rushed over expecting to handle a real break-in. When we arrived at the Richardson estate, I could see why the staff looked terrified. The main house spans 12 oceanfront acres and looks like Versailles had an affair with a shopping mall and spawned something even more grotesque. Staff members were scattered across the lawn in nightgowns, some actually crying. The head housekeeper met us at the front door with shaking hands. She's been like this since her husband died 2 years ago, she whispered as she guided us through marble hallways. The loneliness just broke something inside her brain. She led us to the master suite where Mrs. Richardson was screaming like a wounded animal. Her hair was completely disheveled as she paced around a bedroom larger than most apartments, wearing a silk nightgown. When she saw us, she shrieked, "Finally, someone who understands the severity of this situation." She pointed dramatically at something in the room, but I couldn't figure out what she was talking about. "Ma'am, we need you to tell us exactly what happened," I said, scanning for signs of forced entry, weapons, anything that would explain why I was here with armed backup. "They've infiltrated my most private sanctuary," she wailed. "They've contaminated everything I hold sacred, and I can feel their presence poisoning my very essence every single night." I exchanged glances with my team members, still trying to identify the threat. The windows were secure, no signs of break-in, nothing obviously disturbed. "Who infiltrated, ma'am? The delivery people? The cleaning staff? Someone in this conspiracy has deliberately sabotaged my peace of mind," she shrieked, finally pointing at what appeared to be a perfectly normal bed with expensive white sheets. "Do you see what these incompetent animals have done to me? They have assaulted my very existence with their negligence." I stared at the bed, genuinely confused. "What exactly is the problem with the bed, ma'am?" She grabbed a handful of the fabric and shook it like evidence in a murder trial. "These sheets are supposed to be 1,500 thread count Egyptian cotton imported directly from the Nile Delta region and blessed by artisans who have been perfecting their craft for generations. Instead, these monsters have given me 1,200 thread count peasant rags that feel like sleeping on burlap sacks, and this is biological warfare against my skin cells." I realized I had just been called out for an armed response to investigate bedding complaints, but I couldn't afford to walk away. 2 hours later, after I had reluctantly called in a textile expert, the real nightmare began. I spent the next 6 hours watching 3 grown professionals with advanced degrees in textile science count individual threads under high-powered microscopes. Mrs. Richardson paced around her bedroom like a caged animal, occasionally screaming things like, "My skin is being tortured by inferior cotton fibers," and "This is exactly how they treat political prisoners in third-world countries." We confirmed that the sheets were actually 1,500 thread count, exactly as ordered. Mrs. Richardson stared at us in complete disbelief. "That's impossible," she shrieked, grabbing the test results. "These feel like burlap sacks. You people must have contaminated the samples." But she wasn't done. "Now that you're here, there's another emergency," she announced, dragging us to her walk-in closet. "Someone has been rearranging my cashmere sweaters by shade instead of by purchase date for another 3 hours. We helped reorganize her clothing while she screamed about psychological warfare through wardrobe sabotage." I started calculating how many more nights like this I'd need to cover my dad's next round of chemo. As we were finally packing up, the textile expert approached me. "I recognize these sheets. My company donated the exact same Egyptian cotton to homeless shelters last month. This woman is literally having a breakdown because her luxury bedding isn't fancy enough when people are sleeping on cardboard with the same thread count." The head housekeeper walked us out and whispered, "Last month she had the entire pool house demolished because she discovered the tiles were imported from Italy instead of hand-carved in Vatican City. She said, and I quote, 'This is worse than black slavery.'" The grief just broke something inside her brain. I quit my job that day when I realized I was one bedding crisis away from needing my own padded room. Even with my dad's bills piling up, no amount of money was worth watching grief turn someone into a prisoner of thread counts.